timetable on union negotiations. So, anything else for the board? If not, we're in order for a motion to adjourn.
No.
Committee reports. Oh, that's right, we got a committee.
That was, I was kinda wondering if you wanted to do those for.
Yeah, do you wanna make it,
I completely blew them off.
do you wanna make a comment on the manual at all, or?
Well, that was an open.
That was an open,
session.
that was an
Yeah, it
open
was an
session.
open
Okay,
session.
okay, yep.
Okay, Lee, do you want to start?
I can. Had Conservation Board meeting on Monday night. It was a brief meeting. Just updates and nothing earth-shattering. The Swan Lake, at that time, we talked about the Swan Lake cabin, that it was to be moved in the next 10 days. Actually, I think the planking and everything is set to put underneath the building. I think they knocked out the foundation and, you know, they're ready to basically raise it, but the trucks were all in Alabama at the time, and when they get back, they're coming here first and gonna move it. They talked about the Great Western Park, the $20,000 donation that was given to them, and they plan to seek a grant. They're going to fill a grant application for another $10,000, and then they plan to raise, they figure it's going to cost about $40,000 to, there was the concrete and block work for what it's going to be, and I don't know if we covered that the last time, what they were going to do there. They're going to put up a new shower facility at Great Western Park, a new restrooms and that type of thing. So total cost is going to be $40,000, and I think basically it's all going to be covered. A lot of donated work. They're going to, this will be on the new budget for skid loader bids and mower bids. I can pass those around. They decided to go with Lindy equipment on a new skid loader. They got an S-185 that they were going to trade for a new S-650. All the applications that they have for it will cross over to this one. It's just going to give them a lot more power, and that's what
What brand is it?
It's a Bobcat. And what's that? They got bids on zero-turn mower. They like those a lot better than basically the front-end mowers, and that's what they're gonna trade in, is a John Deere front mount mower, and they're going with Haley implement on a Hustler mower. More bids, and there's a fall conference, I guess, coming up for them that they're discussing. Then the Maple River fence is down, I guess.
Oh, yeah, all right.
And it was supposed to get down Memorial Day weekend. It got down 2 weekends ago. So that's the conservation board meeting. And then Rich and I went down to the East and West Nishnabotna Coalition meeting down in Oakland on Wednesday. And there was the approval of the 28E agreements for both WMAs, and they agreed on the bylaws. The only concern that I raised was on the West Nishnabotna Watershed Coalition. There's 27 communities in 9 counties and 9 soil and water districts. So all these are voting. So you have 46 basic entities that can vote. And my concern was the fact that if the cities, there was Henderson
Mhm.
wanted a new water treatment plant. And that's what they were there for. For their community.
Didn't understand it.
Yeah, it doesn't, you know, but I mean, the only problem is that you can have a weighted, you know, and the discussion was, maybe we should go, and Scott Built from, I basically nominated him for the chairman of both,
I
of both,
watched it.
yeah, it was.
He's quick on his feet.
So that was a concern that we had, and we talked about that afterwards, that maybe it should be set up like a conference board.
Maybe a little more weight to some of the
Yeah, so that the counties would have a vote, the cities would have a vote, and the
Soil,
soil, water would have a vote.
Very good point.
And then you have that discussion, so that, I mean, otherwise you could have, you know, you could have 20 of the 46, or 20 of the 27 cities come in and vote for a water treatment plant for Henderson. And then next time, vote for a water treatment plant for Manila, or Manning. So I think that discussion is still open, you know, as how we're gonna vote.
I think a bigger problem will be getting a quorum so you can even vote.
Yeah.
I think it probably
becomes
is.
so big,
Yeah.
you don't function.
And
You're gonna have
that-
to have, if you got 40, you have to have 24 people, entities there to even have a valid vote.
Yeah.
Now, you can teleconference, but still, I mean, that's an issue to.
And that was an issue at the North Raccoon, because,
Yeah.
and I reported on that, you know, there was not a quorum, so we couldn't conduct any business. So yeah, that, you're probably correct.
So, some places do this, where to get a quorum, you can either do it by majority of the members or majority of the weight. For example, second judicial district, we always want Story County to be there, because it's weighted by population. And if they're there, it's like replacing 4 other counties, you know, or something.
Oh.
I see, by weight of population.
Weighted by population. So that's.
So I mean,
keep in
that's
mind.
a discussion that we can have too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
So there, you know, that discussion's, the bylaws, you know, that was the only comment on the bylaws. I don't know if there was anything else really there, Rich, if you, that's basically what, we did not stick around for the, yeah, for Larry. We had to leave, and at 9:45, they had a quarterly meetings update. So they had Larry Weber there. I would have liked to have stuck around, but I couldn't. I had to be back, but I had a doctor's appointment I think I had to get back for. But so I think it's moving forward. And there's nothing like, I think everybody realizes there's nothing. I got on, put my name on a committee position. I did not accept a position as far as chairman, vice chairman, secretary, or treasurer, but I thought that we should have a presence on at least a committee, you know, and be able to make some decisions and recommend decisions. So that's where I went with that. I don't know if I need,
It's a wise choice.
yeah, that's what I thought. So, and that was basically my week. This week, I don't think I have anything going on this week. No, I have nothing going on this week at all. So, that's my,
Okay. Yep, I'll start off, I'll go kind of backwards. Wednesday, and I think he's covered most everything there. And it's a great point he had about, and I like Neil's point here about weighting this by population. We've got to come up with some formula, because quorum's going to be an issue on some of these, not only these watersheds, but I think there'll be a lot of watersheds, especially if we get down the road a couple, 3 years, when they start to lose some of the interest in it, then that could be a big problem. Back up till Tuesday at the ambulance meeting. Topics were the collections, and that's going pretty good. They turned some over to the collection agency. They look pretty decent. The hiring process, it sounds like they have a proposal out to one person. And he thinks that probably will be accepted, so that's kind of filling some of that void. some of the part-time ones are still having issues with those, and they may still be coming with a proposal to us about doing something differently there, and I said we would discuss it when he got here. One of the topics we talked about was the water, the windshield washer, that was so kind of high priced. That is a dilution, or a concentrate that they dilute down, and it should last them 4 to 5 years, so when you look at it that way, it's not such a big deal. But he said it works a little bit better, kind of works on the theory of like the Rain-X, which helps the windshields, so when they travel a little higher rate of speed, they don't fight it quite as bad, and it's a good thought. Coming up this week, I have daycare this afternoon, and then after that, I am done for the rest of the week. Okay, Neil?
Okay, Thursday, had the Community Partnership for Protecting Children meeting, and we accepted some transfers of money from the 2 different places. One was $50,500, and that came from court-ordered graduated sanction funds, and the other was $25,534 from child welfare funds. It got transferred to us. We also, probably the most important thing is we approved several mini grant requests for fiscal year 18, and we had in that fund we had $15,800 to disperse, and we had $20,145 requests. So we had to cut some of the entities on the amount that they requested, which is a good thing, because then the money we do give out is probably the best, what we feel is the best projects. And our next meeting is going to be August 17th. Also this week, spent a lot of time looking over the audit, but we already reviewed that, and worked with Rolling Hills. We're now going to have a community service plan to the Department of Human Services by October of 17th. This is part of the new legislation with Senate File 504, and it's going to we have to address how we're going to spend down our funding that we have, and also encouraging us to use Title 19 of the Social Security Act to support as much of it as it can, as opposed to be using our county tax dollars. So that is what we're going to do before October 16th. This year we'll have that taken care of. This week, this afternoon, I'm going to have a conference call with the 2nd Judicial District Director, Amanda Milligan, and we're going to go over a lot of the changes caused by Chapter 20 that will involve our employee handbook. Wednesday, I have a Coalition of Human Services meeting and a local planning group meeting. Friday, we have the 2nd Judicial Group meeting in Webster City. And I don't know if this interests you, but in this brochure we just got here, I see NACO's added some new member benefits, and they're going to have different webinars. And June 22nd, they're having a webinar for IT, and it's designed for counties under 50,000 that don't have, most of them don't have full-time IT or no staff at all. So that might be interesting if anybody wants to go into that, look that up there. So that's my week.
Okay, Marty?
Last Monday evening, we had a Wesco board meeting over in Denison. Went over Gina Hansen kind of went through her annual report for 2016. I'll just pass that around. Basically, what this annual report is, it explains some of the programs and the numbers of people and strategic plan for Wesco, and you can kind of go through that at your leisure. We had approved the bylaws. We had a few changes there. The biggest change was since 7 counties was initiated, we had 3 counties that have dropped off that don't have elected officials on. So we dropped in our bylaws for a quorum, we had to have 12 people when we had all 7 counties. Now we've dropped down, so we're dropping down to 9 people for a quorum for board meetings. That was the biggest part of the bylaws change there. Board policies, kind of just tweaked a few things there. Probably one of the bigger things there was the transition house and bail. We kind of added that, just some of the things in our board policies. Under new business, we've got a CARF accreditation coming up The last one we had was for 3 years. Basically, that is basically a guideline to meet the criteria for state regulations and such. And if you get a 3-year accreditation, it's the maximum you can get, and that's what we had last time. But in August, we'll be going through that CART review again, so we'll have to do the interviews for that, for the enter and the exit interviews. We talked a little bit about the Redemption Center. We're in the process of upgrading our can redemption center, putting in basically a conveyor to help sort cans. Right now, with all the redemption centers in the surrounding counties closing, taking in about 50,000 cans a day, and we can't keep up. So we're in the process of upgrading to help that alleviate some of that problem there. Next meeting, we've got the executive director's evaluation, so everybody's going to fill out the evaluation. We'll tabulate that for the August meeting, actually. In July, everybody will turn them in.
So we becoming a regional hub
For redemption?
Redemption? Pretty close?
Pretty close. Right now, we're getting some of the cans from Western Carroll County, we're getting from Ida County. It's about a 6-7 county region that we're taking cans from. So it's gonna be interesting.
It's a growing pain.
Yeah, and it's something that's gonna have to be addressed in legislation next time around. There's no way around it. So, and then on Tuesday, I had the solid waste board meeting. First thing we talked about there was our shingle recycling. We have been contracted with Save and Pave out of Sioux City for getting rid of our shingles. They are basically declining, taking the shingles, because oil prices are so low for asphalt right now. They're not using they can't get rid of the shingles either. So we're basically gonna keep the pile that we have there, and then we're gonna end up probably in July and August, we're gonna end up putting them back in the landfill again, because we're not gonna have enough room to add onto our pile there. So it's kind of a sad situation. We're just gonna be filling up our landfill again, but until things turn around in economics, it's not gonna change. Talked a little bit about our policy manual review. Mary brought that up. We've got Chris Poking working on that to update our policy manual. Talked a little bit about transportation for inmates. We're in the process of trying to acquire a van for basically just taking the inmates from the landfill itself to bringing them in for lunch and stuff like that, just within the facility itself. The other thing we talked about is single stream recycling. There's going to be a meeting on that on July 12th. That's pretty much it for the landfill. And then on Thursday, we had a Region 12 board meeting. The first item there was consider a resolution to make the application for the USDA RIP program, and it's a intermediate relending program funding, and I'll just pass that resolution around and kind of review that. That has to do with the revolving loan funds with the housing. I'll just pass that around, you can review that. We ought to consider also an application for the home loan bank program for the low-income housing. We reviewed that and approved that. The other thing, the IRP loan rate, we're increasing that. In the past, it had been about 4%. We're gonna raise that to 5% with the interest rates that are starting to go up a little bit. So we're gonna increase that from 4 to 5%. The 2018 budget, this is just, I'll just pass that around. This is kind of what we're looking at for the budget for 2018. We considered that and approved that for this coming year. Next, we have the executive director's report. Rick Hunziker kind of gave us an update on that, and he's with their insurance renewals with workman's comp. We've had good history there, and we kind of talked about that on our level last week. Our mod factor is at 1.05, and our premium is going to be about $1,100 less for this coming year. Ceiling repair in one of the bathrooms. We're having some issues with the roof out there. We're going to replace the drywall in it with drop ceilings, so we can't really figure out where the leak is at, so we can put in the drop ceiling, and we can kind of monitor it for a while. The other thing you talked about is workforce housing tax credit. They're working with the city of Jefferson and Wall Lake, and they're putting together to apply for the state's workforce housing tax credits for Jefferson and Wall Lake. And these credits will be sold to separate parties or banks to help out with that. Talked a little bit about the Access Washington trip. And then Rick, in the next couple of weeks, he's going going down to a NATO meeting, and that's going to be down in Georgia. And he's going down for that, and then a transit technology meeting also at the same time. He's going to be there. On the workforce report, Beth Winquist gave us an update on that. The transition center that's over in Denison with Iowa Workforce, that's going to be closing up in September of this year. And it's kind of interesting, the numbers that go through there are more than what goes through Carroll, and they're closing the one in Denison. And Eric kind of just shakes, Eric Scoot from Denison, he just kind of shakes his head every time we talk about this, because it's amazing, we keep the one open in Carroll and we're closing the one in Denison. But everything's gonna be basically moving to Carroll, and the one in Denison's gonna be closing. The other thing, Crawford County, they had signed off in May for the Home Base Iowa, so they are part of the Home Base Iowa for veterans at this point. Then next, Tom Feldman gave a update on the transit report, and Bert Madden, one of our drivers, he came in second, third place for the state rodeo for the bus drivers. We've got a new driver down in the Bayard area, Jerry Sherburn. She was a postal worker down in Bayard area, and she has retired from there, and she's going to be one of our new drivers. Career Link is Midwest Industries. Vita Grove is looking for reliable source of transportation, and this is going to mimic the program that we've got going with Monogram Foods in Harlan. It's not really job shed, they're doing the buses, the actual full-size buses. And so they're working with Midwest Industries in Ida Grove to create a shuttle from Denison to Ida Grove. So Tom and Chris are kind of working on that right now. Vehicles, we've got a bunch of old vehicles. We've got some new vehicles in. We've got a fleet of 5 vehicles that are going to be up for sale. They're going to put those on the DOT website and try to sell those. And then Chris gave us a update on local assistance, Chris Whitaker. He's working with the city of Manning for a CDBG award. They got $304,000 from the Iowa Economic Development Authority, and this is basically going to be used to replace some sewer maining in the city of Manning. He talked a little bit about the Western Iowa Transit ridership survey. They're going to be sending out a bunch of about 500 surveys, and they're going to tabulate those when they get those back. And then he's also working on the statewide EMS audits for the solid waste environmental management systems, and he's working with about 6 different entities there in putting those EMS audits together. That was pretty much everything for the last week. This week, I plan, tomorrow is the soil and water conservation cover crops thing at Jim down at Reesburg's tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, that's tomorrow.
And then Gene and I have a meeting with the ambulance at St. Anthony's tomorrow at 2 o'clock. So that's my week for this week.
Yeah, right north of Arizona.
Okay, last week I had CAC, we had, again, the library came up with this time the group that is spearheading the campaign was there, the presentation, and then on Friday, the S Center did cancel their meeting because they didn't have a quorum. Dean was going to go for me because I had a meeting in ISAC, which is a legislative one. We went through, this is on just strictly the supervisors one. We went and took our 2017 legislative recommendations. Went through that, and we still maintain the home rule as a statement. We took the number one objective that we had last year, mental health and disability, and moved that to 4, because we felt we didn't get so much last year, but yet at the same time, it's not a cure-all of everything. So we want to keep it there, and we want to support the 2019 study that's going to probably show that there's more need there. The one thing that we're going to look at is for number 1 priority is property tax reform, which was number 2 last year, and number 3 was our water quality. We're going to move management, we're going to move that to number 2, and number 3 will be our tax increment financing. Basically, just some tweaks on it. One of the statements we had last year was does not allow TIF to be used for public buildings and projects that would not normally generate property tax. And there's some people try to use TIF to do a infrastructure like a county road or a bridge, and so we're going to scratch the projects out. So it's got to be a public building. And then we went through. We spent a lot of time on this. Went through a lot of other things with mental health and stuff, and there was one on natural gas. Mental health, and one on sanitary sewer districts. Judicial, you should be getting, and this is in regard to the judicial system, as far as the safety of courtrooms and the courthouse. They tell me, this comes from a reliable source, that today you will be getting a notice that the judicial's coming down with a order, and that you should be able to ban guns in the courthouse, all the courthouse. So there's going to be an order coming down, and the judicial should be coming out today. Okay.
I will let you know if I see it.
Huh?
I'll let you know if I see it.
Okay, and there was master matrix. Again, there's all kinds of different options there. And what we think it does need to be reviewed and probably brought up to date. One on rural cemeteries. Evidently some places got, and we didn't think this was a big enough issue, where some of these cemeteries aren't getting money, and then they're shifting them over to the county for taxes to get funded. Some issues about U2Es that, needs to be more of a statewide system. We're looking at that. And a lot of them are assessed in regard to looking at claims and their appointment. And we also have one about not having people being elected for certain elected offices. We're not going there. One thing that did come out that in the meeting was to maybe change in the state, instead of county supervisor, be a county commissioner, like there are a lot of states, because this person maintains as county supervisor, personifies that we are supervising every place, which we don't micromanage them. We are commissioners. So there's some movement that we may look at that. We're going to have another meeting again after this. And that was last week. This week I have St. Anthony meeting tomorrow, and then I think that's all I did this week. Courtney, do you have anything?
No, next week we got Bill Day, and then we talk about the employee handbook next week.
Courtney, I forgot one thing in the report. The East and West, Kara Morgan made a special statement that she needs copies of the minutes of the particular meeting that showed that.
Yeah, I got it.
Did you get that? Okay.
Yeah.
That's one meeting agreement.
There are more.
Yeah, of the minutes that shows that Dean's the.
Oh, okay,
And
yeah.
then I'm the.
You're the alternate.
Right.
Yeah, I got it.
I don't know why she,
Yeah.
but I think she felt
Sure.
that they needed it, but. That's it.
Okay, there's nothing else in order for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
So then move it, you made a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Second, all in favor,
I don't see
say
the
aye.
ears are paying attention.
Motion carried.
You made the second, who's gonna